Beatdown. Matthew Bars.
Gabe Thomas.
Once again, the dog isn't here. This time he's got a tummy ache, unfortunately. So, hope you feel better, dog.
Yeah, exactly. Shout out to you. And here, we're going to open our Ritas. Our Ritas.
Yep. Cheers.
Cheers.
Now, for our first debate, well, in case you haven't seen TMZ Sports, Conor McGregor was out. He was asked when it was going to be his next fight. He says that it will be an MMA fight, so rumors of a potential super boxing match with Manny Pacquiao has been shut down. In fact, I don't think that was even going to happen even if they wanted it to happen, because Dana White said that Conor was still under contract with the UFC and said that he would actually sue Manny Pacquiao and his company if they tried to make that fight happen.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's one of the more ridiculous things I've heard.
Well, I mean, I don't think Dana would I mean, I know Dana loaned him out for the Mayweather fight, but for the Pacquiao fight, I think Dana wants that to kind of be like a one and done sort of thing. And
I see.
So the big question is, who should be Conor McGregor's next fight in the UFC?
Yep, that is a good question, and it's definitely going to be in the UFC. Like, you can't stray, as it were.
Yeah, and a lot of names have been thrown around. There's George vs. St. Pierre, a super fight with George vs. St. Pierre at welterweight.
Right.
A third and final match with Nate Diaz. Of course, that's a rematch everyone's been waiting for. And then there's Tony Ferguson, the current featherweight champion. A lot of talks with that. So,
okay.
I don't know. Who do you think Conor McGregor should fight next?
Right. Well, kind of wish the dog was here to jump in on this first, but I guess I would say that it would be interesting to see, from everything you said about George vs. St. Pierre, and that would be interesting to see him square off. And why exactly is there? Why do people want to see a third match between him and
Nate Diaz?
Nate Diaz, thank you.
Well, because in the first fight, Nate Diaz won by a submission.
Okay.
And the second fight, Conor McGregor, of course, beat him by a decision. And so everyone has been wanting to see a third fight. Both those fights were awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're saying it's more like they wanted to see it. They wanted to see it real, fair, and square. Not just decision, not just submission, and stuff like that.
No, it was fair and square. Mm-hmm. It's just that.
But I mean, for diehard fans, that if their guy loses, they're always going to hold out on something, right?
Well, yeah, it's just that they want to see who really is the best. They really want a trilogy in this one,
right?
And of course, I'd be all for a trilogy. I mean, I would love to see those two fight again. It only makes sense.
Yeah.
But as far as what would be a bigger payday fight for Conor, I think it would have to be either George vs. St. Pierre or Tony Ferguson. Because especially Tony, because Tony's the featherweight champion, Conor is the current lightweight champion, and of course Conor is a former featherweight champion. So it would only make sense to those two to be big payday fights.
Right, exactly. And I guess knowing that, I might have to switch over my vote here, because it would be interesting to see if he does clinch it, then he becomes featherweight champion again. Is that right?
Yep. And of course, as he was leaving that night, that night out, the guys from TMZ asked him "Hey, what about WWE? Would you ever consider going to WWE?" And he says, "Fuck WWE."
Right.
Well, sorry, folks. Looks like we won't be seeing Conor McGregor at WrestleMania this year.
Yeah, exactly.
You might want to get rid of that.
I got it.
Yeah. So it looks like Conor McGregor has definitely burned. Well, he didn't burn the bridge with WWE. He didn't. It wasn't there wasn't a bridge to begin with.
Right, exactly.
He just demolished it.
Yep, exactly. Took it down before anyone thought of putting it up.
Yep, exactly. So, you know, we'll have to see come 2018. You know what's gonna happen. I mean, I would love to. I'm sure the world is ready for Conor McGregor to come back now that he's made the money.
Right.
So, all right, now it's time for our second debate. In the upcoming year, Mike Tyson has 3 anniversaries coming up.
Okay.
January is the anniversary of his fight with Larry Holmes.
Okay.
March is the anniversary of his fight with Tony Tubbs. That was the first fight he did in Tokyo.
All
yeah.
right.
And then, and of course, in June, it's the anniversary of his fight with Michael Spinks, the 91-second knockout. You know, of course, that was, personally, that's when Mike Tyson's personal life was starting to unravel. You know, the divorce of Robin Givens and leaving Rooney and Clayton for Don King. So, 1988, somewhat of a good year for Mike Tyson.
Right. Yeah. So that's interesting. So if it was 88, then this is the 29th. Am I right? 29th anniversary of it, right?
Which the Spinks fight?
Yeah.
No, that's the 10, 20, 30.
30th. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I thought you said it was 88, and and it's 2017 now.
Yeah, but I'm in the next year.
Oh, yeah, okay, right, yeah. So yeah, then it is the 30th.
Yeah.
Nice.
So the big question is, of course, everyone asks this today, you know, given what the heavyweight division in boxing looks like now, but would Mike Tyson be a dominant champion in today's heavyweight division?
Well, I mean, yeah, that's a tough one. I think you know, with any legend from the past, you know, we've talked before about how it was, you know, about things that were different back then, and yeah, so it's tough to say. I think that things really do change quite a bit, and you know, so yeah, sometimes, you know, unfortunately, the things that flew back then or that got you notoriety back then, you know, aren't quite the same now. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's always here's how I look at it. You know, look at all the fighters in the heavyweight division. I mean, Luis Ortiz, the big Cuban guy. You know, even on PEDs, Mike Tyson would still kick his ass. Tyson Fury, of course, he was actually named after Mike Tyson.
Right.
You know, I could definitely see Tyson knocking him out. Vladimir Klitschko, of course, that's a no-brainer. You know, but I think the ones that would give him the toughest challenges would be Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder.
Okay.
I mean, Wilder, because Wilder, he's got a long reach. You know, he's got a long reach. Of course, that wouldn't, not that would bother Mike. I mean, Mike has been in the ring with guys with longer reaches than him and still able to get in there and knock him out.
Right.
But Deontay Wilder, he's got about the same punching power as Mike Tyson.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, so, you know, and he can actually box. He can box. You know, I mean, he's not just a knockout puncher. He can actually box as well. And has actually gone 12 rounds. So I would say, you know, that would be a tough fight for Mike Tyson. And also Anthony Joshua would be another tough fight because he's got more foot speed, you know, kind of in the category of a Lennox Lewis.
Right.
And of course, we all know what happened when Tyson fought Lewis.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. So yeah, that's interesting. I don't really know. I mean, I think he definitely would make the rounds and would make a name for himself, but would he rise to the same star power that he did in the 80s, you know, and 90s? I'm not sure.
Well, yeah. I mean, because, you know, the thing is, well, the 80s, there really wasn't that much competition in the heavyweight division either. I mean, there was like Larry Holmes, and then there was just everyone else. I mean, Michael Spinks rose to prominence in the heavyweight division after becoming light heavyweight champion. But the times that he beat Larry Holmes were controversial, controversial decisions.
Okay. Yeah.
Jerry Cooney, who many called the Great White Hope, and then after a fight with with Larry Holmes, turned out to be nothing. And of course, but in the 90s, had Mike Tyson not gone to jail, he would have had way better competition in the 90s, because of the return of George Foreman, the rise of Riddick Bowe, who we actually went to high school with.
Oh, really? Huh.
Yeah, and then, of course, there was the Evander Holyfield. Of course, they were supposed to fight in 91.
Oh, okay.
And that didn't happen.
Right.
And then Lennox Lewis. They eventually fought in 2002, but many people wanted to see that fight back in 96, 97, 98.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then yeah, the guy who he went to high school with, you can bet they would have played that up. They would have made it the whole high school rivalry, even if they weren't rivals or didn't know each other back then.
Well, actually, they did know each other. They were good friends. In fact, when Riddick Bowe beat Evander Holyfield, in their first fight, Riddick Bowe was dedicating the fight to Mike Tyson, and then after the fight, when Bowe was being interviewed, he said, I want to send a big shout out to Mike Tyson. Come on back. This is for you.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah, exactly. So there you go. So yeah, that would have been interesting to see, is what I'm saying. That whole a match between them, because they definitely would have played up that angle. It would have been like what was it? Just like a couple years ago, 2013, 2014, there was the Super Bowl with the two brother coaches. You remember hearing about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they made big hype about that. Two brothers squaring off against each other, and the whole family drama. So
yeah, you can imagine what the next year at Thanksgiving and Christmas was like.
I know, right? Yep. So they definitely would have made a deal of that if it had happened. Yeah. So I don't know. My vote would be that he would definitely make the rounds, but he might not be as special a name, nowadays.
Well, I think he would have been special. I don't think he would have been the undisputed champion, holding the WBC, WBA, IBF, and WBO.
Right.
He'd maybe hold maybe one or two of those belts, and but there's not much. Yeah, because Anthony, because right now in the heavyweight division, as we're talking right now, there's there's Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder. Those are the only two real big names, and
right.
There's. They're trying to fight each other.
Right.
And, of course, you never know. Sergey Koloviv, who's in the light heavyweight division and had some good fights with Andre Ward, even though he lost, he could, at any moment, he can move up to heavyweight as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think Mike Tyson would have maybe done okay.
Yeah.
He would have done okay.
Yeah.
Of course, we would still flock to see him because he had that knockout power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that it is interesting. I think the one thing is, he might have actually, been he might have been, given more hype and more of a pass about the biting the ear thing nowadays. That might have actually been a ticket selling attraction.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because Tyson was, he became really wild in the, after his release from prison. So,
yeah, exactly.
Still the baddest motherfucker on the planet.
Yep, indeed.
Yeah.
Cheers to that.
Yeah, cheers to that. Also, another thing, it's in March. It's also the anniversary of when he was the special enforcer at WrestleMania 14.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which was actually in Boston. I remember this as a kid because I wanted to get tickets to that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was going to be... yeah, it was when Stone Cold Steve Austin won the WWE Championship that night.
Okay, yep, Stone Cold. I do remember that.
Yeah, of course. And they played it all up, when... remember when Tyson was on Monday Night Raw and Steve Austin, and it appeared him and Steve Austin were about to fight each other because, Tyson pushed Austin after Austin gave him the finger, and Vince McMahon, he was all angry. He's like, "You ruined it, damn it! You ruined it!"
Right.
The days when pro wrestling was real,
Right.
or at least when we thought it was real.
Right. Exactly. Good distinction.
Yeah. And now we're going to get into the good fight.
Yes.
So, Gabe, take it away.
All right. So here on the good fight today, I'm going to be talking about turning a corner. We've, I've talked a lot about, kind of like unveiling the secrets and the whole sexual assault stories and all this stuff. And I figured, it's time for. It's time for a more feel-good story. It's time for the positive aspect, and the positive aspect, as I said before, is when you finally get to turn the corner. So what is what does that actually mean? Turning the corner. It's a metaphor for when you're, I would say, getting onto a different track. You turn the corner onto a different street when we're talking literally. So figuratively, you're getting onto another street. You're getting onto another track. Things are finally going to be different. You know what I mean? That's what a lot of people say when they say, I'm we finally turned the corner. I'm gonna turn the corner. And it's very important. And so all the negative stories we talked about, I think, there's room to say that we're, that as much as it kind of sucks, in the moment, we are ready to turn that corner. I talked last time about the Alabama Senate election, and how despite predictions, the alleged pedophile Roy Moore did not win that seat, and we were very thankful for that. And I mentioned, I'm pretty sure, thankful to the black voters and black women actually might have helped to make the difference in that election. So. And the Democrat Doug Jones, really riled on the issue of Confederate monuments and stuff like that, and said and was agreeing with a lot of us in the North that it's time to start taking those down. So that's pretty awesome, and so that's one example. I talked before about how with the sexual harassment stories, it might seem like overwhelming and hopeless, now, but eventually we are going to turn the corner with that, because we're going to start, we're going to draw the line. What is acceptable and what's not acceptable, in polite society. So that's good. And even all this, tension around seeing a rise in Nazism and white supremacy. That's it's fucking terrible. But it is it's necessary. It's like, it is evil, but it's like a necessary evil, and they're going to be exposed. They're going to be made to be uncomfortable again. Just because they seem comfortable now, they're going to be exposed. They're going to be made uncomfortable again. And it's partly because of our massive counter protest in here in Boston in August that actually made a lot of white supremacist or hate groups in disguise change their plans to do rallies around the rest of the country. So you're welcome. And we had to do it again. They actually were here in November, and we had to I went back out, and it wasn't as many of us this time because it was November, but and it's cold and everything else, but yeah, we still showed up in big numbers to show our solidarity against them, against these groups. These guys particular say that they're not Nazis, that they reject white supremacy, but I'm not convinced. And even if even if most of you do, you did invite one of them to come speak with you, and that's bad enough. So, yeah. So, so yeah, that's we've also started to turn the corner with that, and I'm very pleased. And yeah, you see this all the time. You do see this in movies and TV. I was going to talk about, oh yes, the Karate Kid, one of
which one?
The original Karate
okay.
Kid.
Good.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say it's a classic, one of our favorites, and yeah, he's just starting to learn, from his sensei, from
Mr. Miyagi.
Miyagi. Thank you. I was like, I know I'm gonna blank on the name, Mr. Miyagi, and Mr. Miyagi has him, doing what most people would say just doing chores for a long time, waxing the car, and the whole wax on, wax off comes from waxing the car, or cleaning his room, his place, the yard. Anyway, remember that scene where he finally gets sick of it, where it's like, you haven't told me what we're actually doing, and how this is going to help me, and I'm, and maybe I shouldn't do this shit anymore. Maybe I'm out of here, And Mr. Miyagi says, Daniel-san, and stops him, and finally tells him what it's actually all about, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So that in itself was Daniel turning the corner. He was kept in the dark about what it was actually about, and was going along with it, but it's like eventually you're gonna have to tell me the truth or else I'm out, right? So that was him finally taking the initiative, and it was because of that he turned the corner, that finally Mr. Miyagi did tell him what it was all about, and showed him how he can apply those things that he was learning, doing the chores, to karate, and to defending himself. So yeah, and it's happened. It happens in a lot of different movies like that. Any sort of like fight training montage, the good guy has to go in hiding and gets training, and blah blah. There's a whole montage around it, and then eventually the trainer is finally like, I think you're ready, right?
Right.
And lets them out onto the streets. Zorro, all the superheroes, Batman, Superman, all of these. So that you can't really have a good hero story, especially not like a fighting centric hero story without that moment of turning the corner. You know what I mean? They have to be trained, and then the trainer has to say, you're finally ready.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. And also to get back to what you said about turning the corner, as far as the whole sexual harassment thing. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know if you heard, but there's a big controversy over at the NFL Network. Mm-hmm. So, about the sexual harassment, and Marshall Faulk and Donovan McNabb. Mm-hmm. There's another player. I think
I heard something about this, but I didn't really know what was going on.
Yeah, and and this is the last thing the NFL needs. I mean, because between the protesting, the the Michael Bennett almost getting in a fight with one of the fans, and just and then of course the controversy of one of the referees getting pushed or knocked down by a player or whatever, and it's just like, this is the last thing the NFL needs right now, because right now ratings are down in the NFL.
Right.
I mean, it's not to say that the games aren't great. I mean, the games are good, but it's like, people. It's just the ratings are down because of all the controversies. The domestic violence, the weed
that's
smoking.
The other thing I was gonna say is from a couple of years ago, the domestic violence stories and stuff like that. But
Yeah. Now, of course, the players accused of sexual harassment haven't been found guilty or anything.
Right. We do have to be completely clear about that.
Yeah. But if you're the NFL, this is the last thing you need. And plus, on top of that, people are feeling like, well, there's too much football. There's like Sunday night football, there's Monday night football, there's Thursday night. So like, in fact, there was actually a video on YouTube, and I highly suggest you watch this.
Yeah.
Is that they said that the NFL may not be around in 5 years. Now, personally, I think that the NFL is any sports organization is a machine.
Right.
Eventually, the machine, some machines eventually break down and stuff like that.
Right.
But I think that the NFL is a machine. There's always a new player willing to come along. In 5 years, the Bradys, the Wilsons, the Roethlisbergers, the Odell Beckham Juniors, they're going to be put out to pass. Yeah, the Petersons, they're going to be put out to pass.
Right.
But I think in those 5 years we'll have some good new players, and I think the NFL will still be along. But but now that I think about it, with all these reports and ratings going down, it's almost got you thinking, like, hey, maybe there's some truth to this.
Right. Yeah, that is an interesting one, because, like, I don't know, as someone who's not necessarily a fan himself, I do kind of agree that there is too much football, but
Well, there goes your 49ers tickets.
Yep, exactly. sorry, 49ers. I love you. But yeah. But I know that a lot of people love it. I know that that it's good. Sometimes it's good for it's good for local pride. You come out with when the Patriots are playing, we come out. When the 49ers are playing, my people back in California come out. That type of thing. And so I do understand that, and I appreciate that. But yeah, I don't know. Does there have to be as many? Maybe not. But yeah, it's not to say that I would support it actually fading from existence. No, but yeah, that's an interesting question of whether or not they'll actually still be around. I think there is merit to say maybe they won't. But it's kind of not our. It's kind of in the wake of all these controversies, I guess I would say maybe it's not our decision to make. Maybe it's their decision to make. Like the owners and the team owners, I'm sure there's boards and stuff, the heads of the boards and chairman of the boards and all that. I think maybe it's their decision how they react to all of this and what they do, and if they can shed the players that are being the most problemsome, like we just talked about, then maybe they will also turn the corner and bring the sport back. It's kind of a credibility problem now. So it's not to say that it will or won't go a certain way, but maybe it's their choice of if they can actually turn the corner enough, and if they can, then we'll move on with better players, and we'll forgive them, and it will be better. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, the one good thing I could say the NFL, two good things the NFL has done right this season is, one, they allowed dancing in the end zone again.
Oh, yes.
Of course, there's still some rules, like you can't do sexually suggestive dances.
Mm-hmm.
You can only dance after a touchdown.
Right.
You cannot.
But by the way, just an interesting side note is that I'm not actually sure I agree with that. Even though I've been talking endlessly about sexual harassment and blah blah, like it's just funny stuff like that. Is an interesting concept. I'm not sure I necessarily agree with that. If as long as it's not like directed towards one person, you know, maybe they should be free to move sexually in the end zone, but that's a whole other thing.
Well, there's also you can't do anything like like with guns, like do the the old 6-shooter, like,
Oh yeah.
and, like you can't do anything like that.
Yeah.
You also can't. I've also seen players do this too. They've like brought out a cell phone and like do the whole like.
Oh.
Yeah, you can't. You
Selfie.
can't do that. You can't bring. That's considered a foreign object, and if you were to do that, you would
Oh,
be taken out of the game.
interesting. Yeah.
So also, you're not allowed to. Because I remember one player dumped into the Salvation Army little tub pot thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're not allowed to do that. So
What do you mean? Like he took some money from it? Or?
No, he scored a touchdown in that big pot thing for the Salvation Army.
Was there?
Yeah, and he jumped right in there.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah, so you're not allowed. So you're not allowed to do that, and you can still, and also you can do the goalpost dunk thing, and you can still do that, but
Right.
it kind of reminds me of that week 1 of the NFL. Rob Riggle does Fox NFL Sunday where he does his picks, and he does these funny little bits and songs, and he did one take of it on Whitney Houston's "I Want to Dance with Somebody." He was like, yeah, and also Ken Jeong was actually in it too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He was like, "Yeah, you're allowed to dance in the end zone."
Right.
And in one part he goes, in the one part of the song he goes, "Yeah, you're allowed to dance in the end zone. Within reason, let's not get nuts."
Exactly. There you go.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I think, I think with, again, with all this turning the corner, it might seem like, to some people it might seem like, oh, you're cracking down on all these things that used to be fun, but like, no, we can get back to a place where these things are fun, and not just for some people, but for all of us,
Yeah. And of
you
course,
can celebrate and have it be fun without it making one or two particular people uncomfortable.
yeah. And also the second good thing the NFL has done is that they brought back Justin Timberlake for the Super Bowl. For the Super Bowl halftime show.
Mm-hmm.
So even if my New England Patriots are not going to be in it, of course they will be in the Super Bowl. Of course. I mean, what are you crazy? At least it'll be nice to see Justin Timberlake perform.
Yeah, exactly. And he'll with everything that happened before, he'll also be saying, "Is it too late now to say sorry?"
Wrong, Justin.
What? Oh shit! Oh god damn it! Sorry, Justin Timberlake. I know that was probably really offensive to you. You do not want to be compared to him, but.
Well, it's funny you actually mentioned that because I don't know if you knew this, but there was actually a bidding war between Justin Timberlake and Usher to who was going to manage Justin Bieber.
Oh, yeah, I think I heard about that.
Yeah. Also, with Justin Timberlake doing the Super Bowl halftime show,
he's bringing sexy back. That's the one.
Yeah. You think that we'll see another NSYNC reunion?
Oh my god. I mean, I guess anything's possible, but I mean, it just seems like, I don't know. It doesn't seem like there'd be much appetite for that, but it would be interesting. Just to watch it. Yes, it would be fascinating. I don't think it'll happen, but it would be fascinating.
Well, I remember one Super Bowl, NSYNC performed with Britney Spears and Aerosmith.
I was about to say, that was the one where Aerosmith was there. I remember that.
Yeah. But it would be nice to see another NSYNC reunion, just like at the VMAs a few years ago. Granted, I want to see a full-on reunion where they make some new music and then go back on the road. But not just for like a special event.
Right. Sorry, that's not going to happen. but yeah. I mean, for the halftime show, it might be their shot. And then that would be interesting to see. We'll find out.
Well, but back to what you were saying. Yeah, everyone, turning a corner. Hopefully, the corner will be turned by 2018. So
yeah, okay. I was when you first started saying that, I was like, it's not about hopefully, like, you know, in terms of the long arc of history, as it were.
yeah,
It's not about hopefully. It's not about if. It is about when. But yeah, hopefully it will be. It will. All of those corners will be turned in 2018.
yeah, exactly. Also, I'm gonna mix some pomegranate with some lemonade.
Yeah, splash some for me too.
Yeah. Also, a couple announcements. Well, in case you haven't been on the our Facebook page, there will be a new episode of the Beer and Brawl this Friday night.
Yep.
I'm going to be showing the first fight between Mike Tyson and Frank Bruno. We're actually talking about Mike Tyson.
Right, exactly. So there you go.
Yep. And also on that episode, it'll be the one-sided fight between Lennox Lewis and Tommy Morrison. And also I'm going to be showing some Muay Thai kickboxing fights and a bare-knuckle boxing match on there, too.
Okay. All right. Perfect.
Yep. And also our second announcement, the return of Ringside with Matt and Gabe.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yep, we're back, guys.
Yep.
And we'll be doing a new episode on January the 6th. And we got two fights on there. We got a bare knuckle boxing match, and of course we have the fight between Larry Holmes and Mike Tyson.
So, all right. So
make sure you tune in and
Tyson Mania with all of these. Hey. With all of these, pour something for me. Please.
Oh, okay.
With all of these anniversaries coming up.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, of course. So make sure you tune in and watch it, guys, because 2018 is going to be a bigger year for Bloody Knuckles TV.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be launching some new stuff, and not only on our Facebook, but here on YouTube as well. And also, we're going to be back at Scott TV as well. So stay tuned for it, guys.
Check it out. Yep. Cheers to that.
Cheers. And speaking of 2018, 2017, big year for boxing. You know, the Andre Ward Kovalev 2 fight.
Right.
It was also Anthony Joshua and Vladimir Klitschko. Of course, Joshua beat the holy shit out of Klitschko and forced Klitschko into retirement. So Klitschko is just going to be a house husband for for Hayden Panettiere.
Oh, that's interesting. Yep.
Yep. And of course, we had Gennady Golovkin versus Canelo Alvarez, which, by the way, they're close to finalizing a deal for the rematch.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so hopefully that fight will take place on Cinco de Mayo weekend.
Right.
Yep. You know, attract all the Mexican fans out there.
Mm-hmm.
And also, of course, the biggest event, was Mayweather and McGregor, and we both saw that fight.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a big fight that night. We both got high, got drunk.
Yep, it was a fun time.
Yeah, it was a fun time. I mean, of course, the UFC had somewhat of a good year, and Bellator had somewhat of a good year as well, with a lot of former UFC fighters coming over to Bellator, and of course, Bellator having its first event in Madison Square Garden.
Right.
Yeah, and you and I actually did a Countdown to Showdown show for that one. You came over for that one. Matter of fact, you didn't actually stay for that main event, actually, I don't think. Yeah.
Well, splitting hairs, but anyway. Let's keep
the biggest debate, the debate is, for 2018, which sport will have the biggest year in 2018? Kickboxing, MMA, or boxing?
Fascinating. So yeah, there was a lot of boxing this last year, which is good. I don't know. I mean, personally, I would love to see kickboxing really take the cake, but I haven't really seen any evidence that will happen. So,
well, the thing about kickboxing, as I've said on numerous occasions,
yeah,
is that kickboxing is it really is the soccer of combat sports.
Right,
It's
exactly. It has not caught on as well here in the U.S.
yeah, but like overseas, it's been huge. I mean, Bellator is actually starting to dip into the international market,
Right.
and kickboxing has done well in Italy. It's done well in of course in Amsterdam, which of course is the home of the Dutch kickboxers, in Germany,
Right.
Japan, mostly all of Europe,
Right.
and Canada. But kickboxing, whether it's Glory, whether it's Bellator, I would love to see it have a big year as well.
Yeah.
As far as mixed martial arts, I think it's really going to come down to a big battle between UFC and Bellator, because on the same night that the UFC comes to Boston on January 20th, here in Boston, yes.
Yep.
That same night it's going to be Bellator, Roy McDonald versus Douglas Lima for the Bellator welterweight championship, and of course we have the fight in the first round of the heavyweight Grand Prix, Rampage Jackson versus Chael Sonnen.
Right.
So that's going to be that's going to be a big showdown. I mean, because you got one fight card that's going to be on pay-per-view and one that's on free TV.
Okay, yeah.
So, that's definitely going to be a big battle for the year of 2018 between UFC and Bellator.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. I guess in terms of what's most likely, I think Bellator has a big chance to take it. Bellator has a chance to step up and a chance to take it.
Yeah, I agree too, because of the year-long tournament.
Yes.
But Bellator, they have, but UFC, they got some good fights coming up in the new year.
Right.
Not only on Fox, but also Fox and Fight Sports 1. Fox Sports 1. Sorry.
I was about to say Fight Sports 1. That's what I would call it.
Yeah, it's the alcohol, people. But Fox Sports 1 and Fox.
Yeah.
And pay-per-views.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of good fights that are coming up in this upcoming year. But Bellator, they got some good fights coming up as well.
Yeah.
On free TV, of course, Spike TV is now going to be the Paramount Network. So, it's really gonna be hard, especially for boxing. Like what kind of year is boxing gonna have in this upcoming year? Not only for Showtime and in HBO, but for like Premier Boxing Champions as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess time will tell with that. Like I said, I'd like kickboxing or boxing to come through and be like the one that takes the year. But I'm not sure.
Well, boxing, it's going to be a little tricky because, we know that Golovkin versus Alvarez is not only was once again the must-see fight of the year. I mean, it was the must-see fight of this year.
Yeah.
But now after the draw, it's the must-see fight for next year, the rematch.
Right.
Of course, there's still some doubt of whether Manny Pacquiao will come back. Because he's so busy with the Senate. In fact, the president of the Philippines actually wants Manny Pacquiao to be his successor. He told him at Manny Pacquiao's birthday, which was actually on Sunday, so happy birthday to Manny Pacquiao.
All right.
It's actually the same birthday as Mila Jovovich.
Okay.
Yep,
So
Resident Evil films.
Resident Evil. Yep.
Yep, and Manny Pacquiao had a conversation with the president of the Philippines, and the president of the Philippines said he wanted Manny to be the next president.
Wow, that is fascinating. I guess as someone who follows human rights abuses and stuff, like he couldn't be any worse. But then this Duterte, right? Then Duterte, but as someone who hopes to see more. Who hopes to see bigger steps for gay rights? Obviously that would not be good for gay rights to have Manny Pacquiao be the president. But again, I'm sure in terms of human rights, could not be any worse than Duterte has been. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah. Well, actually, I also told a lie on the must-see fight for 2017.
Oh,
Well, Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder, that is another must-see fight. Both are... Well, there's
an alarm. We're running out of time, folks.
Yeah. But that is the must-see fight for... that's another must-see fight for 2017. Both guys want to fight each other. It's just a matter of contract negotiations and TV, stations, Showtime and HBO.
Yeah.
But that's another must-see fight for 2017. It'll definitely be good for the heavyweight division. We really want to see the heavyweight division be brought back to the days of Tyson, Holyfield, Lewis, Ali, Foreman, Frazier. We want to see the heavyweight division brought back to the promised land.
Exactly.
And, but so far those are, and of course there's Terrence Crawford. We want to see Terrence Crawford in a big welterweight fight. I mean, he has said that he wants to move up to welterweight. He's trying to get the fight with Jeff Horn, who beat Pacquiao. And then, of course, there's the fight between, with him and Keith Thurman, the current WBC and WBA welterweight champion. So, boxing, if boxing wants to have another big year, these are the fights that have to happen.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, we'll stay tuned, and we will see in the coming year, in 2018.
Yeah, exactly. And also, the 27th, December 27th, we'll be doing our countdown to the UFC 219 event.
Right.
So, and also we will be doing a countdown to Showdown on the 30th. So, we'll actually be there at the Boston Sports and Grill.
Yeah.
Grill there. So, I'm gonna spend the next 2 days getting high and getting drunk with you, man.
Right. Awesome.
Gabe, I love you, man.
I love you too. All right. Awesome. All right. We're looking forward to it.
And also, I want to send one quick shout out to my therapist, the Mouse. I call her the Mouse because I don't want to use her real name. Client privilege. Confidentiality.
Very good. Yep.
Hi, Mouse. Love you.
Yep.
And now, from Beantown to your town, this is the Beantown Beatdown. Matthew Barrs,
Gabe Thomas,
saying Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah. Shalom.
Shalom.